Mums with Hustle podcast, episode 483.
Welcome to the Mums with Hustle podcast, where you'll discover everyday mum entrepreneurs killing it in their industry. Learn the secrets you can replicate to create your own success with your host, Tracy Harris.
It is so nice to be sitting down with you. I'm back in Bali. I'm staring outside of my window. I see frangipanis and palm trees, and my beverage of choice today is fresh coconut water. Oh my gosh, does it get any better than that? I love being a freedom-filled entrepreneur. Now, there are multiple ways to build a business. You can build your business whilst working yourself to the bone, barely seeing family, being unhealthy, not having boundaries, operating in a state of overwhelm and busyness, or you can build your business to the same level of like revenue and success, but do it in a really healthy way, in a happy way, in a balanced, aligned, fresh way. And that's what I like doing. So welcome. If you're new here to the podcast, my name is Tracy Harris. I teach women how to create a digital business, an online education business of their own, how to market that using Instagram, particularly using my social method, which is a system for marketing on Instagram that doesn't just grow your audience, but it grows your audience with buyers and it helps you turn those followers into customers. I have another beautiful mentorship, which is still in its infancy, in its beta, and there's an amazing small group of women inside of that pilot program, but that's called Freedom Filled Business. And that's where the women are learning how to build digital offers, start their podcasts, and grow an incredible freedom-filled business. And then I have my Inner Circle Mastermind, which is for women that already have their digital business, but they are wanting to work more closely with me, be in a mastermind with other brilliant female founders, and really learn how to grow and scale themselves as leaders, but their businesses, their digital offers, their teams, things like that. Oh, it's such a delicious space. But welcome here, podcast family, because today I'm sharing with you why showing up on Instagram can just feel so hard sometimes and what to do about it. Now, I have been marketing my personal brand and my offers on Instagram for the past 10 years. And when I say that I too have felt like this, I mean it. Like, I've gone through these things. I think I still every now and then have this little voice in my head that pops up. And it really is like when family and friends see your stuff on socials, but they're not liking your post. They're not liking it. I mean, we don't really need them to leave a comment, do we? Like, sometimes we don't want their comment. I think that that's real. Or sharing your posts. Like, sometimes it's just like, you guys are seeing this stuff, but where's the support, right? And so I wanted just to start this episode by saying, well, what if we approached this with a different perspective? Because it does not feel good to get caught in that psychological trap. It's a spiral of negativity when we're getting sad and frustrated, or we're just not feeling supported by family and friends online. If you've ever said to yourself, why don't my friends like my post? Or why are they all sitting there creeping, watching my stories? They're clearly looking at what I'm doing, but they're not showing me any love and any support. And if you felt kind of meh, frustrated, angry, rotten about it, this episode is for you. Because a lot of people struggle to show up on Instagram as their most magnetic, authentic, real selves. And a lot of people will just default and say, content is the hardest part for me. Content is the issue. Content is my biggest struggle. But I'm willing to bet that for a lot of people listening to this, it's not about the content. It's about your feeling of safety and vulnerability around being seen by people that know you in real life. That can really make content creation be hard. So the symptom of your problem is that content, knowing what to post or being your authentic self in your content, that presents itself like a symptom, but underneath it, the real problem is quite often that there's a fear around who's seeing your stuff and what they may think or what they may perceive of you. Your family, your friends, your local community, they all knew a past version of you. And maybe they don't know the current version of you, and they most definitely don't know the version that you are becoming. So showing up feels weird. It feels vulnerable. We fear judgment. Most people are employed. Most people get the pleasure of going to work behind closed doors. Maybe they get dressed in the morning, they hop in the car, they commute to work. Maybe they get the train. Okay, cool. They arrive at the station. They walk the rest of the way. Now they're in the office or the workplace or wherever they are. They are working behind closed doors. Their family and their friends don't really get to see them selling themselves, piping up in meetings, leading, doing their job. But you are so visible. You are building something from nothing and you're doing it in public. You are experimenting, learning, growing, and evolving out loud. And it is exposing. It is. I have felt that. So when you are doing all of that and when you know that your friends and maybe your family are seeing your stuff online, but they're not engaging with your posts, and then maybe you catch up with them on the weekend at a barbecue or at the school gate or wherever you are, and everyone's talking about their jobs and how's work going and da-da-da, and then it gets to you and no one asks a single thing, it can hurt. Now, I know all this because I don't even know how many thousands upon thousands of women I have had the honor and privilege of working with over the past 10 years, where they tell me that these are their very real experiences. And it hurts. It can cause friction and distance in these relationships. It can even break these relationships. And it doesn't have to be like that. It can also make it really difficult for them to show up on socials marketing themselves in a very authentic way with their true personality on display. So it can lead to you questioning yourself. It can lead to you diluting your message, not wanting to be so opinionated or bold or take up space or wearing that sequined jumpsuit or whatever it is. But here's the truth. Your friends and your family are not your ideal clients. Like 99% of the time, they are not your ideal clients. And you're an adult. You don't need their approval. You also don't need them to get it. You don't need them to understand what you're doing, how you're doing it. You don't need the validation. You don't need the like. There is an undercurrent of fear around being misunderstood or judged, you know? So if your family, if your friends, they see your content, they don't hit like or share, what are you making that mean? What are you making it mean? Because it could just mean that they don't know how to interact with that post because they're not your ideal client. So they don't have anything to write back. And clicking like, I don't know, it's not that deep, babe. I always say that to my masterminders. We can create stories and meanings and assign meanings to things that just aren't there. It's not that deep, babe. Like, what if we just assume the best of people? I am no fool. I know sometimes people like to have a little spy and watch and creep and a friendly stalk, and maybe some people are out there with their judgments and opinions or whatever. But it doesn't matter. I truly believe 9 times out of 10, the people watching, the people that are close to us, they're watching in admiration or out of curiosity. But it's our own internal dialogue that creates the story. And it's either a story that feels really good or it's a story that doesn't. And it's taking energy. It's taking bandwidth. It's taking focus. And as long as you're focusing on that, you're missing out on showing up with content that is more polarizing or entertaining or does cut through the noise and speaks to your ideal client, because you're diluting yourself for a maybe. Some people are seeing this and judging me. We cannot be doing that anymore. So yeah, if you have this fear of being seen and misunderstood or judged, it often goes way back. And maybe even into childhood. Maybe you were different from the others. from the other kids. Maybe you were misunderstood. Maybe you were judged. But the situation and that cycle doesn't have to continue. You don't have to keep living in that space. I have seen over the past 10 years of working so closely with incredible, intelligent female founders, I've seen how these old wounds around bullying, criticism, being misunderstood, being labeled as a show-off, intimidating, all these things, it still impacts how women show up today or how they aren't showing up today. So this that we're talking about here, ladies, this has nothing to do with your Instagram strategy, except it has everything to do with your Instagram strategy, because how you're showing up and how you're not showing up is directly tied to this, am I going to be liked? My family and friends see my stuff. Oh no, what do they think? Am I, the weird one, the judgment, the fear, all of that. And as a God-fearing Catholic woman, I often turn to scripture to understand my own human experience. And in Mark chapter 6, there's this passage about Jesus where he returns to his hometown and he was met with disbelief. Now, I'm not sharing this, our experience, your experience, my experience. I'm not sharing this as a comparison. We're not comparing ourselves to Jesus, but it's a simple reminder that even he was understood by those he was misunderstood by those closest to him. He couldn't even perform miracles where he was from because of everybody's judgment, doubt, and just like their inability to even see who he is, because they just remembered him as being this little kid, Joseph the carpenter's son. And that's it. That's all that they could see. So he couldn't even work miracles there, it says in scripture. He had to move on to other towns. Isn't that crazy? So if you are feeling like your family and your friends and the people closest to you don't really seem to get you or to celebrate you or to ask questions and show interest in your business or congratulate you or even like your social media posts, yet they're watching everything, maybe this is just part of the human experience. And I think as soon as we come to terms with that and we just get to a place of acceptance and not judging it ourselves either, just accepting it and just being like, yeah, okay, whatever. And we just move on, I think the happier we'll all be. And the more authentic you're going to start to show up as, the more opinionated your pieces are going to be. And we need to be sharing our opinions, even if they're not the opinions of everybody. We need to share the opinions online that is a values match for our ideal customer. We cannot just be sitting in the vanilla. It's boring. We're just going to blend in. So permission to stop waiting for family and friends to understand or validate your work. You are not here to prove yourself. You're not a child anymore looking for praise and well done and good job. No, we're going to let that go because it is costing you your freedom of creation and your freedom of expression. And from those things, your business are going to flourish. So inside of my Social Method Society, we work on both. We work on the internal, which is you, and we work on the external, which is the Instagram strategy, the actual social method, because it takes both to grow a business that is seen, trusted, and profitable. So if you want to know more about the Social Method Society, or does this suit your style of business, or are you even ready for this, any and all questions, please just email us. My team are on standby. They do a happy dance every single time one of you emails and asks about the Social Method Society, and we can get you onboarded and supported. So just go to or email hello@mumswithhustle.com if you'd like to know more about that. All right, my friends, I hope that this episode has had something in here to help inspire you to release the need for this validation. And I know it's like support. We view it as support from family and friends, but we don't really need them to engage with our stuff. I know it tells the algorithm that, people are interested in this content. And so, the Instagram works that way. So if more people engage and it pushes it out and increases our reach amongst others. But we don't want to be getting upset or having issues with family and friends who are seeing our stuff on Instagram and who aren't liking it. Like, it's okay. We just move on. We accept it. It's part of the human experience. Maybe, whatever. We just move on. I just want everyone to be free of waiting for that. Like, let's just keep moving forward and let's focus on who is there, who is liking. Let's interact with those people. Let's be more productive with our focus. So thank you for joining me on this episode of the Mums with Hustle podcast. I've got more episodes coming up for you, and I'd also love to hear from you. Like, have you got any questions? Are there any things that you'd like for me to share on an upcoming episode? Please know that you are so welcome to reach out and tell me. Email is probably the best, hello@mumswithhustle.com. But until next week, stay happy in your hustle. Your hustle doesn't have to be hideous. Okay, there's a time for rest. There's a time for fun and crazy. And then there's a time to do some needle moving work. And you get to choose when that is. But you've got to become great at keeping the promises that you make to yourself. That's what keeps us moving forward and has us in business for years and years to come. Take care, my friends. I'll see you on the next episode.